Hello YouTube, this is Nite Misfortune coming to you with another Supreme Commander 2 video. This one is from, of course, the tournament we had over the weekend. This is Serpents Open Winter 2019, a match, final bracket match between Alphahex and Fartuna. This is game 1. I'm paused at 5 seconds, so let's not talk too much and go ahead and jump in at speed 1 so far. If you want to follow along in the replay, of course you may do so. I will be announcing if I'm changing speed or anything. So on the bottom right or left hand corner, we've got spawning in as the brown Aeon commander, we have Alphahex. And his opponent in the top right, we've got our blue Cybran Fartuna, opening up with an air factory and a land factory. It looks like Alphahex so far is mirroring that build as Aeon. Of course, if you have not heard about this tournament yet or followed it throughout the day, this was a one faction. You pick a faction, so both of these players have chosen their respective factions. Obviously, Alphahex has been playing Aeon this whole weekend, and Fartuna has been playing Cybran. While these players take some time to set up here, it looks like one scout from Alphahex only so far is coming out. Probably going to get picked off, but it's going to see pretty standard build. While they set up here, I did want to again thank you all for participating in the tournament, and also if you're watching here, obviously thank you for viewing my video. There's going to be more tournaments in 2020. I'm planning a league as well as some intermittent tournaments, one of which will be the 10th anniversary tournament, so please be on the lookout for information in regard to that. The league will be starting up in January 1st. The rules, the sign-ups and the rules video will be available here soon, probably today or tomorrow of the upload of this video. So with that out of the way, we have the two players pretty much mirroring each other. We see Alphahex going for a pretty standard build with, ooh, no, just kidding, there's a Harvog coming out. The bot, no anti-air so far, but we do see tanks, and he continues to produce his planes. So at the top we have a Loyalist coming out for Fartuna, and we have 4 Geminis right here. Both players expanding into their pockets so far. The bots are, I believe maybe he's expecting an attack, so he's just moving into position preemptively here. Let's go ahead and speed up to 3. Game speed 3 here. Looks like he doesn't have any radar, so he might just be wanting to cover this area, and now he sees that nope, he's coming back. Never mind. Over here, Alphahex continues to produce planes. So does Fartuna. Both of these players are amazing players. Alphahex has been around the community for a while, ever since I pretty much stopped playing, regularly back in 14-13. I believe he was just starting out back then, but he's certainly transformed into a great player. And Fartuna, I'm not as familiar with him from way back when in the day. I believe he's a newer player, but I had a chance to play with him. He's certainly a good player as well. Not a lot of Cybran representation at this tournament, and Fartuna did a great job. Obviously, he took actually the first spot in his group. Another scout coming in, gonna see these bots as well as more air. So both of these players, like I said, pretty equal on their expansions. Still no radar for Fartuna. That might be a little bit of a detriment for him as these bots start to move out. And once these bots get anti-air, that air force for Fartuna will surely dwindle pretty quickly. There's no adapters either. We saw a little row. Well, obviously I know the outcome of this tournament. This is my first cast actually after the tournament, obviously not live. So I know what the outcome of this tournament was. there were some really strong representation from Cybern, even though leading up to the tournament, it has been kind of expected that Aeon would take it. There's a lot of Aeon representation, but guess what? 100% of Cybern made it to the brackets. About 75% of Aeon made it to the brackets. So, you know, it's a small sample size. You can't judge it by that. Obviously, the maps were favoring Aeon a little bit more, but yeah, that's that. I probably won't talk about it again. So up here we have both players taking up their top expansions, which is really interesting because Fartuna didn't even have radar. So now he sees that both of them have taken this expansion down to the north. And he has a good awareness of what his opponent's army looks like. Another air factory coming down. Meanwhile, Fartuna is choosing to invest in a research station. Looks like he is hoping to play a bit of a late game. However, I think if he does not get some adapters here soon, there won't be a late game because these planes will just be able to wreak havoc without these any anti-air to help. While Alphahex will have obviously AA on his bots. He doesn't have it yet, but what I suspect him do, more advanced players usually save it until the opponent's players are directly overhead, so that it's kind of a surprise. More energy coming out, a lot of energy coming out. Kind of suspecting a little bit of a maybe a megalith transition is what he's hoping for, but honestly, there's so much for Alphahex. This is going to be very dangerous. Meanwhile, a turd of Harvox has made it over to the bottom and has destroyed some an extractor and an energy generator. And yes, 4 bots, if you have not heard, is called a Aeon turd. All right, bots moving out on the top as well. Air, I'm not sure what the air wanted to do. I think it noticed that this group was moving out and now is going to probably attack them. Let's watch carefully for that anti-air upgrade. Those bots already have it. Okay. More land or air factories coming down. 3 more positioned for Fartuna. Might be a little bit too much. Again, having those Harvog anti-air is going to be pretty good for Alphahex. And just plopping them down now, you're not going to get those Gemini saturation that you could. Finally, that quarter turd falls down in the kind of the east, I guess this is of the map. So much anti-air coming in, attacking these Geminis. Alphahex has a good eye, bringing his own planes into the mix. Meanwhile, the Loyalists are making their way over here, gonna start the fight, but no, the Harwogs are simply too quick. Nice bait and switch from Alphahex causes those planes to all fall down. Meanwhile, he still has a complete reign over the skies with those Harvogs, and a group of Harvogs here, there's like 5 turrets in here probably, is making their way over here, taking out a max extractor. Nice micro all over the map by Alphahex, and he is going to use teleport now. Very good. And these Loyalists are trying to catch them, but obviously without jump jets, it's very tough. These Loyalists on the bottom right is very, very scattered. Anyway, yeah, so Fartuna decides to control K, a pretty abrupt ending, but it was surely coming. There was just very good micro from Alphahex that caused a lot of destruction all over the map. And the choice to go heavy air there was just a little late and a little ineffective considering that there was Harvogs. So I'm not sure if Fartuna has scouted these Harvogs before, but Harvogs are usually a very good tail that you're going to lose air, especially if you don't have adapters. With adapters, of course, the situation changes quite a bit. So something I didn't mention, this is a best out of 3, so we are gonna go to game 2. Alphahex is up 1-0. I'll be right back. Hello, welcome back YouTube. This is game 2 between Alphahex and Fartuna in the quarterfinals of the Serpents Open Winter 2019. Alphahex, of course, took game 1. Let's go ahead and jump into the game. I'm paused at 5 seconds, starting in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so in the top right, we have Alphahex spawning as our brown Aeon, building, I believe that's 2 land factories. Yes, it is. Alright, so a pretty quick land rush, I guess, I suppose. We'll see what he does exactly. And his opponent on the bottom left, of course, it's none other than our blue Cybran, one of only 2 Cybran in the whole tournament. We have Fartuna. Alright, well, let's see if Fartuna can turn it around in game 2 as he's down 1-0. Quick note about the maps. If you, I don't think I stated this in the first replay, but there's a map pool of 7 maps. So there was Mark and Bridge, there was Finn's Revenge, there was Ascilian Coast, there was Ascilian Island, no, Treyhack Island, Sentence Clutch, and Open Palms. Oh, and Arctic Refuge, of course. Finn's Revenge and Mark on Bridge are obviously both very favored towards Aeon. However, I think Finn's Revenge is a little bit less so. From what I've seen from the games that I live cast with Spiff and Girl and Kitty even, I think it was fairly balanced, but we'll see how it goes in this game. Obviously, you can't really tell from just a couple of casts that we did. So, Air Factory for our Fartuna Cybran player with 1 land factory. Not as quick to expand on the Alpha side. And we have tanks this time coming out, destroying some of that palmage. Somebody actually pointed out a great, I believe it was Spiff. No, it was Girl. Have you guys ever noticed how open palms don't have any palms? They're all ferns. We should call open palms open ferns. So let's start a petition. Let's get this going. It will require all of us to do so, but I think we can do it. We can start the trend of calling open palms open ferns because that's what it is. And now that I know that there's palms in the game also. Anyway, sorry, back to the game. Looks like, yes, Alphahex is going for a little bit of a slower rush, but he is getting that MML, so that will definitely help him push. Meanwhile, pretty similar build from Fartuna. I haven't had the chance, I don't think I casted him in the group stage, or maybe I did, but I don't know if this build works on this map with 1 air factory. It's just such a small map. It's so easy to have coverage, and I think the reason why Alpha didn't go any anti-air so far or any bots on this map, well, partly of that is because he did it last match, but here also you don't really expect air. I believe this is the first match in the tournament that I've actually seen air on this map, so we'll see if it works out for Fartuna. Meanwhile, Alpha is just filling out his last mass extractor spots. Let's go ahead and just increase the speed to 2. Nobody's moving out to those side islands. But of course, this map is very, very close quartered. The distance between the 2 players is probably the closest distance you can find on any semi-decent maps. There's all kinds of maps in Supreme Commander. Of course, there's much smaller maps. I think there's one called something Spring Fields Duel or something, or Springs Duel, something like that. The distance there is even smaller here, but that's not really played because it's just so small. Finn's Revenge, on the other hand, is an original map from Supreme Commander, I believe, the first one, and it was a little bigger in that game. Obviously, everything is a bit bigger. Supreme Commander 1, I guess, is the Texas of Supreme Commanders. But anyway, the interesting part about this map is that there is this lake, and Aeon is able to position themselves on this lake fairly easily because of their hovering, obviously. By the way, we're seeing some Shajas coming out now. And just Loyalist still for Fartuna. There's no mix. Even Brackman. I would love to see some Brackman. Anyway, in the game, in a group stage, we cast a game here between an Aeon and an Aeon, and there was just, it was so interesting. Both players took out their expansions on the right and left, and so this middle section here became a natural contested battleground. And it was just a graveyard on the bottom of this lake of tanks and everything. It was so interesting. Anyway, it looks like Alphahex is making his way towards his opponent here. Building a land factory, probably going to pop a stationary missile launcher on that. Well, actually, no, this might be a little out of range. But obviously, if you let your opponent if you let them come up to you, they're going to be able to start MMLing all of your stuff across this hill. That is why it is extremely important to position your stuff as far as possible. Fartuna still is on 1 land and 1 air. I'm not sure where his mass is going. He has all of this, he has all these expansions. He must be sitting on quite a bit of mass by this point. So much anti-air for Alphahex. Of course, you have time, plenty of time to prepare. The more efficient use for these planes now would be to take them around and start bombarding some of these mass extractors around. Meanwhile, Fartuna's mass extractors are taking all sorts of fire from all of these MMLs. And you know, actually, this is not a bad idea, taking out some of these MMLs for himself, but there's just simply way too many and way too much anti-air here for these planes to be effective in the long run. This ACU is trying to repair these mass extractors, but obviously once these MMLs start concentrating fire, there's no way that's going to live for long. Is there even a radar for Fartuna? Yes, there is this time. Okay. We really need, as Cybern, Loyalists will not do. If Loyalists are your only composition, unless you're doing just like a great job microing and pressing to your opponent and just swarming him everywhere around. There are some players that do this well. Elias92, he probably doesn't play anymore, but no, was it Elias? Is he? Something, I think 92. Anyway, somebody was very good in the old days. They were just doing a very good job with that harass on open palms. Obviously here it's a little harder. Meanwhile, Alphahex is moving in. I'm kind of like all over the place today, but that's because I think that this is firmly in Alphahex's grasp here, unless he made a big mistake. But there's simply just way too many units. I have no idea, honestly, where Fartuna's mass has been going this whole game, because there's no units. Finally, adapters, he decided to mix in some Brackman, and Alphahex needs to be a little bit more brave here. Just taking all kinds of fire, but still he is trading very efficiently. There's only 2 units that he has lost so far. Meanwhile, air is just sitting there while it could have been bombarding your opponent. It's not going to do any work here. There's just simply way too much anti-air. Do these bots have anti-air again? Yes, they do. This ACU is not microing either. PD is trying to be pushed out. You know, I don't think this is a good representation of Fartuna's skill. Fartuna definitely made it here for a reason. There was a very good pool of players in Group A, which he, by the way, took a lead in. There was Regon Fury, and I believe there was, I don't remember the other 2 players in Group A, but it was a decent group. So taking first place in that group is definitely not a laughing matter. And just here, I think 2 games just went poorly. And something else I forgot to mention was that they were having difficulties with disconnections. They actually replayed the first match and the second match because there were some connection issues. So maybe that played to Fartuna's head and he kind of lost his mojo. But 2 very quick games in my opinion, and 2 very easy wins for Alphahex. And I know from playing Fartuna and watching, I believe I watched him versus Regon. Or in Group A, and he did much better. Again, not a laughing matter to take first place in a group of 2 with 2 Aeon first place, on map pools that are Aeon favored. So Definitely much better player than we've seen him in these 2 matches. But Alphahex moves on, and Fartuna takes, I believe, what would that be, 5th through 8th place in the tournament. Definitely a good job, and we'll see how Alphahex fares from here. Thank you everybody for watching. If you like these videos, please help me out by subscribing. Follow my Discord channel. It's going to be right on the bottom. Maybe there's even going to be a pop-up here, but it helps me a lot. Plus you get to know when my videos come out. I'm going to be posting all sorts of stuff, not just Supreme Commander, but obviously focusing a little bit on Supreme Commander with all of these leagues and tournaments coming in, especially going to be bringing you coverage of the 10th anniversary tournament. So let me know your thoughts. Follow and subscribe, my Twitch, my everything, links down in the description. Oh, and one more thing you should follow, not related to me, Mr. Steel Speaks. I need to be giving him shoutouts in the beginning of the videos. So, he's an awesome dude, obviously. If you're watching this video, chances are you know him, but in the off chance that you don't, please go and check his YouTube out. He's a great dude, been casting this game for a while, so yeah. Get on it. Thanks again, and take care, YouTube.